Mom, if I may, what was all this like for you, going through this?
The day of it was very surreal. Even now it doesn't feel real. And it's been difficult, but we're very happy. When you think about how bad it was or could have been, you look at them and they're doing good now, and we're very thankful, very fortunate that Sergeant Rowley came upon the scene so that it ended the way that it did.
I can just huddle in. Yeah, I just happened to be going to the same pumpkin farm that they were going to, and just happened to cross the crash. And there was another lady that had stopped, and her vehicle was sort of blocking the crash, so I couldn't initially see what was going on, but she was banging on my windows to see if anybody, if I knew CPR.
Wow. Okay. And so, what did you think at that moment?
I've thought back on that, and I honestly don't know. When we come to work, policemen come to work, we put on our uniform, and we get our mind ready to do just about anything we think that we're going to encounter. But, it was a Sunday, I was just driving along, wasn't really thinking about anything other than the pumpkin farm. So it was kind of a surprise, it was a shock. But, when I saw Nick and Abby, he handed her to me, I put her down on the ground, and, I just did what I could until the paramedics showed up. Those are the paramedics and the doctors, those are the people that really did the work. I just sort of, maybe help keep the motor running a little bit until they can get her some better help. So.
And you did CPR on her?
On Abby, yes.
Okay, all right.
And
Yeah.
in my mind, the ambulance, somebody couldn't arrive, quick enough. It seemed like it was happening all very fast, but it also kind of seemed like time just stopped. Nothing was happening nearly as fast as I wanted it to. And when somebody just announced that somebody knew CPR, I didn't even know who it was, but somebody said somebody knew CPR. I did hand her off, and then I just kind of stood by and watched and paced and walked around, and again, my mind was just going a mile a minute.
So when you handed her up, did you really think she wasn't going to make it?
At that point that I knew that it was not good and there was a strong possibility. I didn't want to think that, but of course, reality was kind of hitting that this was a very serious thing going on.
And at what point did you know that she was going to make it? What was the...
Well, I didn't really, at the scene, we really had a glimmer of hope when I did hear that they said, we got a breath, and that was right when they were getting ready to put her into the ambulance, I believe. Somebody said, well, they got a breath. And then when I got to the first hospital, I rode in the ambulance, and they said that she had been crying when she arrived. When I got there, she wasn't doing anything, but they were stabilizing her. So at that point, of course, I didn't know that it was going to be okay, but at that point, there was a glimmer of hope at that point. They're doing great. Emma's doing fantastic. She went back to school while we were still in the hospital, staying at the hospital with Abby, and as you can see, Abby's doing really well as well. She still has some healing to do, but overall, she's doing fantastic.
She's got a lot of energy.
She sure does. Yeah.
And what would you want to say to the sergeant? What did you say in terms of what he did?
I mean, we just know that he was there for a reason on that day, and we think Sergeant Rowley agrees with us. We've talked about that briefly, and he was there for a reason. And really, thank you falls short, but I mean, all we can really say is thank you. That's all we can say, and we just not more than a few hours go past in a day that I don't think about it and how grateful I am.
Along those lines, Sergeant, we've heard that you typically wouldn't have gone this way on the previous trips to this pumpkin patch.
No, it's sort of out of my way. I live nearby, but that wouldn't have been the direct route. But the week prior, I had gone on a bicycle ride along that route, and it just seemed pretty, and it just seemed like just something different to look at. So by some other intervention, I just decided to go that way just for a change. Right.
Ho ho, Merry Christmas! I may receive 2 special girls. What? How are you? wrong, Emma? You're being so quiet. How are you? Emma, give me a hug? Okay. Thank you. Well, let's see here. These are for in your bedroom. And this one's Emma's. This is you. And this is yours, Abby. Santa had these made in his workshop last night. So you put them up.
Just Emma. Lane. It's a street sign.
It's a street sign with your names on it.
What do you say to Santa? Here, hold it out this way.
Come over. There we go.
Get a picture.